Hello everyone, how's it going? So today I'll be talking about the books I read in July, presenting you my reading wrap-up. In July, I didn't expect to read the amount of books that I did, which was surprising in a really good way because this month was probably the best month of books that I read this year in 2020. So I read a total of 6 books, and coming off from another friend of mine, a booktuber, Noelle. She read 20 books. Can't relate in that aspect, but I really enjoyed what I read, even though half of the books came from the Reading Rush. If you guys haven't checked that out already, I'll leave a link somewhere on the screen if you guys are interested, because it was basically one whole reading vlog where I discovered a newly found favorite, and tears were shed. I was a hot, ugly mess. So if you guys are interested in seeing any of that footage, you're welcome to do so. So the first 3 books that I read in July are the Heartstopper series by Alice Osman. I believe the 4th book is coming out next year in 2021. Overall, I really thought this whole series was just really cute, really simple, and nothing new. I know it has such a huge fan base just because I believe the series, or the first book, was written a long time ago. It was on like her website, and it was available to read to the public, and I think it got really popular as to why people loved it so much, and it became so popular that it got published. So I think that's the reason why. Let me know if I'm wrong in the comments down below. It's about these 2 boys who fall in love. It's a coming-of-age story, and that's pretty much it. There are certain themes of, mental illness that have been tapped here and there, and also trigger warning for the 3rd book, self-harm, so watch out for that. I wasn't too emotionally invested into the characters. Yes, I thought the story was cute, the writing was alright, and for what it's worth, I really enjoyed reading the series. But I might have to reread this series at some point because I already forgot what happens, which attests to my whole thoughts and feelings about this whole series so far. So, fun fact, I did not know that this series takes place in the UK. I thought it took place in the US. So when it first mentioned that the main character was year 11, for a hot split second, I thought he was 11 years old, and we're reading a story about 11-year-olds falling in love. And I was like, I was so confused just for a second, and then I realized, oh, it's in the UK. I'm not too familiar with the system. Pretty much it. It's really cute and simple, and if you're one of the people who really loved it, good for you. I liked it, but I don't think my relationship with this book is as strong as other people. Alright, next is The Girl with the Lighting Voice by Abby Daré. This book was like a blossoming, blooming flower. It just got so good as it progressed. We're following a 14-year-old girl named Aduni. She's being forced to marry an older gentleman after the death of her mother to support her family. What Aduni wants most in her life is to further her education and to pass the education that she receives to other people. This, by far, was the most powerful book I've read so far this month. The writing style, chef's kiss. So in the beginning of the book, understandably, Aduni's English is pretty broken, and the writing, in a sense, mirrors and mimics Aduni's broken English. So it was a little difficult to read and understand at first. I got over it and got used to it rather quickly. However, as the story and the book progresses, along with Aduni's journey of education, her English gets better, and the writing sort of reflects upon that, which I thought was really powerful, wonderful, reading and seeing this journey as Aduni progresses. However, there's a part in this book that really stood out to me, and it basically goes over the fact that the English language does not represent the person. It's rather who the person is and what they represent. It's also really prevalent here, especially in America, how people ridicule and judge others for not speaking English, because it's deemed as not American, which is utterly fucking bullshit, if you ask me. I guess the biggest and most important takeaway from all this is that Aduni's ability to not speak English, even at the beginning of the book, does not deem her any less than as important as any other human being. It doesn't diminish her character, it doesn't make her any less than intelligent as another person who is speaking English. This book was also really heartbreaking and a really important outlook on how women of color, especially black women, are being treated. Overall, a strong 4 out of 5. The only reason why it isn't a full 5 out of 5 for me is that I would have liked to see more from the ending. I wanted to see what would have happened afterwards. And I do get that it's sort of heavily implied as to what happens afterwards, but I think for myself as a reader, I would have liked to have seen that fulfillment. If that makes any sense. So highly, definite, recommend. I also forgot to mention that The Girl with the Lighting Voice was one of the first books I annotated, and I had a really great and fun time. Color of the tabs don't really have a specific meaning. I just took whatever, basically whatever felt important to me, whatever I felt was beautiful in that moment, whether I laughed or cried and whatnot. So I annotated the next 2 books and I overall had a really great time. So the next book that I read is The Knockout Queen by Ruthie Thorpe. Overall, this book was an underwhelming slice of life. This book was really interesting because I thought going in it was going to be lighthearted, super fluffy, and I was basing this book off Clueless because one of the reading prompts for the reading rush was to read a book based off of a movie. I thought this book was going to be about two friends, one glamorous girl and one gay guy and their friendship. I sort of got some of those, but not in the way that I was expecting. There were a lot of interesting themes going on for this book that I really enjoyed reading that I wished was expanded upon, friendship being one of them. The friendship in here was really interesting because it just really begged the question of pure, true friendships. What would happen if the other person committed a terrible crime or a terrible deed? How far and how long would you go to support them? You know, so I thought that was really interesting. I really wish that this book dived a little bit deeper into that psyche of this friendship. I thought it was just really surface level and two-dimensional. Some people might disagree, and that's totally fine. Another interesting tidbit was that most of the characters in here were all sort of gray area characters. Reading it from that sort of standpoint was interesting. How no one in here was entirely likable or unlikable, because it was very real, very gritty. The writing style was one of the best aspects of this book. It was really real, smart. It had this sort of quality to it that I really enjoyed. It really felt like the story was being told instead of shown, which I really appreciated. This book is about two friends and how an act of violence in a small town can really fuck things up. Like I said, it was okay. I can really see a lot of people liking this book, but I don't think ultimately this one was for me. I found the ending to be utterly underwhelming. It really didn't really have an ending, and I can see why a lot of people might like that. But I personally didn't really find any resolution to this whole story overall. The whole focal point of the story is narrated by the POV of the gay best friend. I found his POV actually to be really interesting because this is sort of a coming-of-age story, you know, how he is finding himself and how he realizes his gayness, I guess, or how he identifies. I thought it was really a realistic portrayal of someone's struggle and story of finding their identity. Another thing that I did not like were the relationships everyone had with each other. Not just the two best friends, but every relationship that they sort of had. Every relationship in this book was either messy or super uncomfortable. One of the main themes that this book sort of went over, and I really wish that expanded more, was violent acts committed by women. So I don't condone any sort of violence whatsoever, but it really went on to show how violent acts committed by women are deemed more as apprehensible, more abnormal, and more despicable than men who have committed even greater acts of violence. So I thought that was really interesting, and I really wish it just dived a little deeper into that. But other than that, super underwhelming, could have great things going for it, and it was definitely knockout. Yeah, for sure, but not in a good way. Alright, so last and not least, my favorite by far, The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. This book was unique. This book was... I believe you should watch my reading vlog to capture my whole experience and reaction to this book, because it was perfection, beautiful, astounding, brilliant. Every good word you can think of is this book. Literally, I feel like this is the type of book I would want to reread every year, just because it's so good. So many of you guys have been telling me and DMing me that you have bought this book because of me, but that you have exceptionally loved it as well. That just makes me happy, and that you guys enjoy my recommendations. If you haven't already picked this one up, yes, the hype is real, it's out there. I don't want to give too much away, but at its core, it's about this man who goes over to this island as a social worker, and there he meets another man who is a caretaker for these gifted children with strange and unusual abilities. Honestly, this story was just beautiful, whimsical, and heartwarming. I would definitely recommend it if you're looking for a good and great time, wonderful time. Go and read this book. It was beautiful. I even tabbed the living shit out of this, as you can see here. It's a frenzy, and it just marks all my favorite moments. I cried so many times, and, you know, it wasn't even sad tears per se, okay? Once you read the book, you'll understand. This isn't even a recommendation. I'm telling you to read it, so go read it. If you trust my recommendations, if you are subscribed to my channel, TJ Klune is now another favorite author of mine. This is not the first book I've read by TJ Klune. I read another series written by him, also about gay werewolves. Honestly, this author, God bless. Let me know down in the comments below how your reading month went. Hopefully August will be a good one. I can definitely feel it. There are a lot of books that I do plan on reading. Hopefully. Anyways, that is pretty much it for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys all soon with a new video.